What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to use a pizza app or some sort of app to make pizza dough. This video is not sponsored by any means by any sort of app, but this is an app that I used to use when I was first starting out, and I'll kind of show you the app that I have here. The app is called Pizza App. You could download it in your Apple, Google, whatever type of phone you have. It's going to be in your app store. But again, I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to use this app. I'll go ahead and show the screen recording right here. But again, open up the app and you could basically show any type of dough balls that you want. So if you want to do 4 up to about 100, I believe. The dough ball weight, you're going to be able to do that here. The percentage of water, how much salt you're going to be wanting to use. And then RT is going to be room temp, and CT will be cold temp fermentation. You could do the hours here. You could do, again, the temperature in which you want to use, Fahrenheit or Celsius, and as well as cold temp, and then your yeast type. So let me just kind of show you guys some settings here on the app. And so again, here, if you go into the settings of the app, you could basically change it to flour number. You could do specific, different numbers of flours that you're going to use, fats if you're adding any fats, if you're going to be doing cold temp or not cold temp fermentation, if you're going to do old ball in, which be, again, if you have an old dough ball, you're using it, maybe you had it from yesterday, you're going to use it the next day and put it into your dough. Of course, you could do that all here. If you're doing Alice, Biga, Polish, wastage, which again, that's just gives you extra amount of formulation, so that way you're not wasting. Again, you have your full amount which you're wanting. Types of yeast, how much percent of yeast, so that would be if you're using like a sourdough of any sort. And temperature, you can switch it from wherever you're at, Celsius to Fahrenheit, and again, you have all your different languages here as well. So if we go back into this, again, I'm wanting to do a Neapolitan dough. I'm wanting to do 4 dough balls at around 260 grams each, 65% hydration, 3% salt. Again, you could change that to however you choose. I'm going to be doing, since it's going to be a 24-hour total dough ball or total dough, since it's going to be a total of 24-hour fermentation, I'm doing 18 hours of cold fermentation, so that will be in the refrigerator. And I know that my fridge, again, is around 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, if you have a thermometer gun, you could also measure it to see where it's at as well, to kind of get that formulation. And then my room temp, I'm doing about 6 hours of room temp fermentation, which would be at room temp, and we're doing about 74. So again, I'll be able to control my room temperature, so I know that 74% is where I want it to be at 6 hours. It does break it down, so you have a couple different types of yeast that you could do. You have your compressed yeast, which would be your fresh yeast, your active dry yeast as well, and you can see every time that you do change it, it also changes the yeast as well. So if you're using active, it's about 0.69 grams. Instant would be 0.54. Your stiff sourdough, and then your liquid sourdough, again, all that does change as well. So I'm using an instant dry yeast, so you don't have to activate it, but I'm using an instant, and then it breaks it down to the main dough doses as well. So it's telling you that you need at least total, it's going to be 1,061 grams as your total weight. It breaks it down by your flour, so 631 grams of flour, 410 grams of water, 19 grams of salt, and again, that's based off of this formulation here, as well as yeast, 0.54 grams. So if we go ahead and move that over here to the side, I have everything here. Again, this is my flour. This is a double zero Caputo Pizzeria flour. I have my water here, as well as my salt and my yeast. So again, it's super simple. Again, I was using this app when I first started. Just helps you figure out the formulas if you don't know how to do any of that. And then once you start progressing, then of course you can start learning more into it. But again, it's super simple just to use an app to figure everything out for you. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically mix everything together. And again, if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm gonna be doing the same type of kneading, the same resting periods, and that all is gonna stay the same. So again, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I'm not going to show the whole kneading process because again, that's 10-minute knead or so. And again, you don't want to hear or see me kneading. So I'm going to go ahead and get your yeast mixed in here. And again, if you have this whisk, this is a bread whisk. You could use a fork. You're just getting that yeast mixed around in there. And if you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe. If you ever checked out the pizza app as well, or if there's a different type of app that you're using. But again, we're gonna go ahead now and add in, let's do about 80% or 90% of the water. So we'll leave the rest and we're just gonna use this whisk. And again, it's linked down below as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and mix this. And again, there's other types of apps out there, but again, the pizza app is probably more the popular one that is used. And again, we're just going to go ahead and get this mixed around. All right, and so once you have some of the water in there, then you're gonna wanna go ahead and start kneading. And again, it's just pushing and pulling that dough. You're just getting everything together. And right now it's still shaggy, so you wanna continue doing that until it is almost like smooth, but not fully smooth, because again, that will take a little while. Again, if you're not using 00 flour, that's okay. Again, get whatever is available to you at your market. All right, so now that it's kind of at this stage, I'm gonna just add in a little bit more of the water. And then what I'll do at this point, I'm going to knead this maybe for about 8 minutes. We'll come back, we'll add the salt, we'll add the rest of the water, and then I'll show you where we're at that point. All right, so we're now at the point now we've been kneading for a couple minutes. The dough is now getting to a point where it is smooth. It's not as sticky, but at this point, what you wanna do is we're gonna go ahead and add in our salt. And then we're gonna add in the rest of the water, which again, we're looking about less than 10% of the water. And this is where we're going to be dissolving the salt into the dough. We'll do another hand knead for about 5 minutes. If you're using a mixer, of course the times change, but again, since we're doing everything by hand, I'm just gonna go and stick to speaking about that. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and what I'm doing is I'm just squeezing it, and this is just help getting the rest of the water into the dough. And now at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and continue to hand knead this for another 3 to 4 minutes. Once it's fully smooth, then I'll go ahead and show you the next steps. All right, so at this point, I've been kneading the dough now for, let's say, about 4 to 5 minutes. And it's getting smooth, but it's not fully smooth yet. But I think at this point, what I wanna do is I wanna let it rest for about 15 minutes. This is just gonna help it relax just a little bit, build that gluten a little bit more. So what we'll do now at this point, we'll go ahead and get it covered just with the towel, leave it at room temp. I'm gonna set a timer for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we'll do another hand knead for about another 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll see how different the dough changes. So we'll be back in 15 minutes. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes later, and let's take a look at this dough. And so as we can see, it's definitely a lot stronger now. You could do the window pane test, and it rips just a little bit, but it's gonna be a pretty strong dough. Like I'm lifting it and it's staying within and it's not breaking. So at this point, what you wanna do is we could do a couple more hand kneads. And again, you'll be able to see once I just do maybe a couple times here. If we take a look at the dough again, it is nice and smooth. So again, the best part about building the gluten in your dough is doing 15-minute break periods or resting periods. You could do up to 2 to 3. I like to do normally 2 or 3 at a time. And again, this just helps build the gluten, makes the dough nice and smooth. And again, you want a strong dough when you're making pizza. You want to have some strong gluten. So again, at this point, what you want to do is you could go ahead and put this straight into the fridge. Again, it is really nice and smooth. And so basically you're just making a strong dough ball. Or if you feel like maybe you want to get a little bit stronger, then you can cover it and rest it again at room temp for 15 minutes. But I think at this point, this dough is ready. So what we'll do is I'll put it into a container. I'll put it into another container covered, which I'll do here in shortly. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of show you. And what you'll do at this point, if you had a covered container, you'll go ahead and just place that in the fridge and let it rest up to 18 hours. Again, according to the app, 18 hours in the fridge, cold fermentation after 18 hours. Then we're gonna go ahead and ball a dough up according to what the app says for dough balls at 260. Then it's gonna sit at room temp for 6 hours. At this point, what I'm gonna do is the dough is ready to get covered. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into a container with a little bit of oil and straight into the fridge. All right, so it's now been 18 hours later, and let's go ahead and take a look at this dough. Got a little rise to it. It's nice, it's hard. So we're gonna go ahead and let's get it flopped into some semolina. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this divided. And so we're looking about 260 grams for each dough ball. So let's see, we're about 289. And this dough's smelling pretty good. But like I said, didn't get as much rise for whatever reason. And again, that's all about experimenting, making dough. So again, I may need to check out my yeast to see if my yeast is good. But this will still make good pizza once I sit at room temp for about the 6 hours. We should have some action as well with it, so I'm not really too worried about it. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get all these divided. Again, we're looking about 260. Right. And we're looking about right there. So now that we have these, we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna ball it up. And like I said, once this is balled up, then we're sitting in it at room temp for 6 hours. And again, that's the point where it should be doubling in size. So I'm gonna go ahead. You want to get it nice and tight. There is some air in there. We're gonna go ahead and just put that into the dough tray. Again, if you don't have a dough tray, you could use you know, a baking pan covered up with some cling film, so that is also fine. Work with what you got. Okay, just getting this into our tray here. Like I said, we're gonna get this covered and we'll come back in 6 hours. This is gonna sit at room temp and we'll be back shortly. All right, so it's now been 6 hours later. As you can see, I've used a couple of the dough balls. It did grow a little bit, but it didn't double as much as I wanted to, but it still definitely can push out some good pizzas. So we're gonna go ahead and make a pizza here. I'm just gonna grab one of these dough balls, dump it right into the semolina. And again, if you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Share with your friends, your family. But we're gonna go ahead and just get this stretched out, and you can see I'm pushing the air out to the crust. I'm gonna go ahead and get this flipped around a couple of times and get that crust built out nicely. If you guys want to see a video again of how I stretch dough, comment down below. I'd be happy to maybe put a little simple, quick video together for you. because I know stretching dough can be a little intimidating, but with practice and just making lots of pizzas, you could definitely be a pro. I'm just doing a hand stretch here, as you can tell. Just flipping it a couple of times, making sure I'm getting to a size that I want, and I could always stretch it out more once it's on the peel, but in here I'm just going to go ahead and just by feel, I know where parts are getting thin and parts are thick, so I like to again just focus on parts that I need to get to be nice. And so once we have that stretched out, this is a good 12-inch pizza. Then we're just gonna go down with some sauce. We're just making a simple cheese pizza. This is the Bianco di Napoli tomato sauce, one of my favorites. Again, link is down below how you can purchase some of that sauce, or you can again buy it at one of your stores. Whole Foods sells a lot of it as well. I'm just going down with some grated Parmesan cheese. Give it that extra flavor, and then some fresh cut mozzarella. Doing about a handful. So for roughly around 12-inch pizza, you want to go around 110 to 120 grams of cheese per 12-inch pizza. I think that's the perfect ratio that I like as well. So definitely try that out. And now at this point, we'll go ahead, and this is the Gozney Pro placement pill. You can see it's round, perforated, and we're going to go ahead and slide that pizza on, getting to about the size of the pill as well, and that will guarantee a 12-inch pizza. And then we're going to be going straight into the Gozney dome that's using wood. Again, it's been preheated now for close to an hour. If you want to see a tip of how I do that, what I like to do is I like to get the pizza stone hot using propane on the left hand side. Then I put wood on the right hand side once it's to a good temperature. And then I'll go ahead and then just go with wood for the remainder of the cooks. But it shouldn't take too long. Again, the oven is pretty hot. You got a nice flame coming over the top as well of the pizza, so it's gonna cook the crust nice and even. Just again making sure that we're spinning it on a regular basis. And look at that bottom. And so you can see the crust is puffing up nicely, nice and beautiful cook on that crust. Again, wood is the way to go. If you have the opportunity to cook with wood, I highly recommend it. It just gives that crust that overall a nice crispiness, that flavor as well. It's just fun also to do. And we're just going to continue spinning that around. We're pretty close to finishing off here, not too much longer on that crust. Looking nice. Got this little edge here. Cheese is bubbling really nice. It's nice and hot in there. And just like that, we are done. So we're gonna get this inside on corner rack. All right, so here's the pizza. It's cooked nice and even all the way around. Let's go ahead and take a look at this bottom. Again, the oven is preheated nicely, so the bottom is cooked, it's crispy, nice all the way through. This pizza was made using the pizza app. If you like it, comment, like, subscribe. Check out my Instagram at the Pizza Guy John, and we'll talk soon.